When I pulled into my driveway that evening, something felt wrong. The porch light was on, but it wasn't my bulb, it was a softer glow. The curtains were different. The welcome mat I bought at Target last Christmas gone. And in my parking spot sat a silver SUV I'd never seen before. Then I smelled it. Smoke. Someone was grilling in my backyard. My backyard. A man I'd never met flipped burgers like he owned the place. When I tried my key, it didn't fit. That's when the woman stepped out from the kitchen and said, "Can I help you? This is private property." I stammered, "Ma'am, this is my house." She laughed, holding up a deed. "Not anymore. We bought it last week through your HOA. My knees nearly gave out. My home, my life had been sold while I was in China visiting my mom. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in a cheap motel off Highway 6, surrounded by paperwork receipts and disbelief. My head was spinning. How does something like that even happen? I'd only been gone 3 weeks. But the more I stared at those documents, the clearer one name became in my mind. Layla Lewis, president of the Willow Creek HOA. When I moved in, Willow Creek felt like a dream. Quiet, friendly, manicured lawns. But that was before Layla. She took over the HOA like a queen, seizing her throne, burgundy bob haircut, pink blazer, clipboard glued to her hand. The kind of woman who smiled in newsletters but scowled in person. Her motto was community standards, but what she really meant was my standards. It started small. She fined me $100 because my grass was half an inch over the limit after a week of rain. I thought it was a mistake, so I measured it, took photos, even included the day's newspaper in the frame. When I emailed her, she replied, "All properties must maintain community standards. Non-compliance will result in further penalties." That was Layla, passive-aggressive tyranny disguised as professionalism. Most neighbors kept their heads down. I didn't. I built a binder, tabs, receipts, printouts of every fine and email. I started showing up at every HOA meeting asking questions she didn't like. I could tell she hated that. Once, when I asked where the uniform mailbox rule came from, she said, "It's in the spirit of the bylaws." I told her spirits don't issue fines. When my mom called asking me to visit her in China, her arthritis had flared. I hesitated, but I needed the break. Before leaving, I sent an email to the entire board I'd be gone from the 24th to the 14th. My neighbor Steve had a key, and no one, not even the HOA, was allowed to enter my home without consent. I even printed the sent confirmation. Everything was documented. I thought I was safe. I wasn't. When I got back and found strangers in my house, I called the police. 2 officers arrived, calm and polite but helpless. "Sir," one said on paper, "this is a clean transaction. You'll need a lawyer." I sat in that motel staring at the forged documents, the fake emails, the proof that I'd supposedly authorized the sale. The signatures looked like mine, but they weren't. Whoever forged them knew how I wrote, how I spoke, even how I hyphenated words in emails. It was eerie. Then I traced the email metadata. The IP address pointed right back to the HOA office. Layla's office. That night I made a list. 1. Call the county recorder. 2. File a police report. 3. Find a lawyer. 4. Stop Layla Lewis. I found Kevin Adams, a real estate attorney with a reputation for taking on ugly cases. His office was an old Victorian house that smelled like coffee and victory. He read through my binder, then looked at me and said, "You're not crazy. You're the victim of a very organized fraud." Together we pieced it together. Layla had forged a power of attorney, a document giving her legal right to sell my property. She even used her own company, Willow Realty LLC, as the broker. The buyer's agent, her nephew. It was a family business of crime. When I confronted her outside the subdivision, she didn't even flinch. She just smiled that smug smile and said, "Daniel, you authorized me?" "Maybe you don't remember. I told her I have the metadata, Layla. The emails came from your office." Her eyes flickered just for a second, then she said, "You've always been paranoid." I wanted to scream. Instead, I took Kevin's advice and gathered more evidence. Steve, my neighbor, came back from a trip and handed me a USB stick. His wife's camera had caught Layla and 2 men moving boxes out of my home while I was gone. There she was, pink blazer clipboard, giving orders like a movie villain. Kevin nearly whistled when he saw it. "That's the nail in her coffin," he said. "We gave everything to a county investigator named Ramirez. Turns out mine wasn't the first complaint against Willow Creek. It was just the first with real proof." But Layla didn't back down. She attacked harder. She issued a notice suspending my HOA membership for harassment. She posted on the neighborhood Facebook group that I was unstable, that I was making up lies because I'd lost my home in debt. Friends stopped returning calls. People I'd known for years crossed the street to avoid me. One night I almost quit. I sat there in that motel room staring at the ceiling, wondering if it was worth it. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe I should have just let it go. Started over somewhere new. Then my mom called from China. Her voice was soft. "My son, you don't fight because you hate her. You fight because what's right is worth it." That hit me like a hammer. I wasn't fighting for revenge, I was fighting for truth. So I doubled down. Kevin came up with a plan. "We're going to bait her," he said. "People like Layla only let their guard down when they think they've already won." We drafted an email from me, polite, defeated, almost pathetic. I wrote, "I just want this to be over. Maybe we can settle quietly if you return part of the money." She replied the next day, "I never meant to hurt you. The sale was to help cover your debt. Let's talk privately. I can send you something small goodwill if you stop this nonsense." Kevin grinned. "That's a confession." Within weeks, Ramirez uncovered more victims: an elderly widow, a traveling nurse, a couple deployed overseas. Layla had been running the same scam for years. Forge a debt, fake a sale, pocket the money. Total take nearly $2 million. Then came the night everything broke. It was a regular HOA meeting, crowded, tense. Layla stood at the front in her pink blazer, as always, trying to calm the room. "These rumors are harming our community," she said into the mic. "We will not tolerate lies." And then the doors opened. 2 FBI agents walked in, badges glinting under the fluorescent lights. "Layla Lewis," one said, "you're under investigation for real estate fraud, forgery, and embezzlement." The room froze. She tried to laugh it off. "This is ridiculous," but her voice cracked. The agents didn't blink. They read her rights as flashes from reporters' cameras filled the room. For the first time since I'd known her, Layla looked small. I'll never forget her face when they cuffed her, pure disbelief. Like I'd broken some unspoken rule that only she was allowed to win. That's where I'll stop. Because that's where my story really ends, not with celebration, not with revenge, just the moment justice finally caught up. And if you're wondering what I learned through all of it, it's this: power without accountability always rots. Whether it's an HOA president, a boss, or a neighbor who thinks the rules don't apply to them, stand your ground. Document everything. And never let anyone convince you that silence is peace.